This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey folks, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio, this special Halloween edition of One Nation Radio. I say this because y'all that are listening from the podcast and don't watch from the stream, or and maybe don't see the YouTube clips, I suggest that you hop your ass to the Social Suplex's YouTube channel and see this getup that Rich has on. This man, I don't know what cowboy you want to call yourself. Go ahead, Rich. What kind of cowboy you is?
All I know is that
you like the original cowboy. You know the original cowboy was black, so you like the original cowboy, bitch.
I am on the other side of the law. So I am not with the law. You know, my face is on a poster. I have a very big gun. I am from the West. And you know, I'm trying to dodge all I'm trying to get, stay away from the bounties. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get this money and ride off, on this horse, on this domestic horse.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2. I can say, I done transported myself back to 1899. A lot of people talking about gold, in the West, a little bit further on. Thinking about heading out there and seeing what's up. But I'm trying to, just get in and out these bars and, cause some trouble and, stay away from the law. Above the law, and, anybody want to go outside with it, we go out there high noon, it ain't no thing, I keep that thing on me,
Okay, so I don't know if you see me in my screen, you see me trying to look down and up, like as if like I can actually get like a change perspective by changing the angle. Is that a do-rag underneath your cowboy hat?
Yes. Yes. There's a do-rag
What part of 1899 is this?
Little bit, gotta have a do-rag underneath, You boys.
Oh my fucking god. Clown.
When you a real cowboy, you do what you want to do. When you a real cowboy, look at my eyes.
Apparently so. Cowboy is so much more than the image. It's a way of life. It's a motto. It's a credence.
Yes. I keep 6 shots, ready.
Oh, boy.
For all problems, going from town to town, state to state. I don't know how we washing exactly, because, I ain't really figured out this, the smell good thing or the electricity thing out here.
You said you ass from creek to creek, wash your ass! Shit!
Gotta swim, in the rivers, go to Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas.
Oh my god.
Arizona, New Mexico. We all out there. You see, I'm in the finest of wear. This is an exclusive hat right here. You know,
you literally went to the haberdashery this time.
Yeah, this is literally the haberdashery. You know, you like this. This is not like when you go and you find and you go to the pawn shop or you go to the Goodwill and you say, "What can I get?" You know, to accentuate my Halloween costume. No, you need to be like me. You know, you need to get something in there that really sets it off. You know, like this here hat, like so. You know,
you got this. You got this. What 30 paces down from the saloon, right?
Correct. So, you know, like they say in the comment, my man Black Saber Jr. keeping the waves fresh as cowboy shit. This is gonna be an entire night demonstrating cowboy shit, foolishness, unleashed, ready. But you know,
I can't believe we got 5 minutes out of this bullshit. Oh my god!
You know, you can see the extremely fine wear. So you know, like, you know, when the missus sees me, you know, she loves the softness of the wear right here. She likes, you know,
she likes the silks. She likes the silks.
She likes the fabric. You know, all that.
Yeah, now, you know, like, you've seen me use it as a nickname before, just to be funny on like a message or whatever else, but like, this man, I can finally use it now. There's no other applicable way to use this. This man is out here in the Negresian silks.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I had that shit as my nickname, and Kendra's like, why the fuck is your nickname Negresian Silks? I was like, I don't know, it just sounds funny as fuck, so I just made it mine, so I just changed my name to that shit.
Yes. Find the Negresian wear, and, you know, just gonna talk to the people tonight, talk to our people tonight.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it, man. Where do you want to start with in the wrestling sphere or the sports sphere or whatever?
So a lot of combatants, you know, week to week, you know, a lot of big matches last week.
Yeah.
You know, you know, there was the weekend collision. We both watched the show, collided as they say. You know, went out here watched AEW Dynamite. There was a lot on Dynamite to talk about this week. But I figure we jumped straight to Saturday because that was the biggest thing of the weekend. Kenny Omega taking on MJF, challenging for the AEW World Title. In the main event of Collision, turned out to be it went 30 minutes. This is a match, got a great reception to this match. MJF ended up getting the win fairly clean. You know, with some interference, kind of like, no one physically interfered as a distraction. Like, I think this feels like MJF's like biggest signature win yet. Everything else pretty much has involved hitting somebody with a ring, bashing them with some foreign object after they wrestled for an hour, or or beating people that aren't really top guys. So this whole thing, I think, this was an excellent match, I would say. And it, like, there was a lot of like debate on this thing of, should they even be doing this match on this stage at all at this point, because of the seemingly lack of pre-planning, blowing it off on Collision of all places, and then not using it for being protected as long as that match is protected, and then just kind of throwing it out there. But they did a 30-minute match, and for the most part, it was like 95% like a real match, and then 5% bullshit. I didn't expect the match to feel like as definitive and as clean as it was. It was like, yeah, Callis came out, distracted him. MJF was dead to rights. He was going to get the One Wing Angel. But again, Don Callis is showing up to ruin Kenny Omega's life. I'm at the point now where I have usually, I see the Kenny and Don thing, I'm just like, oh, all right, cool. It's the angle, they're doing it. But now I'm starting to get to, yeah, it's time to bust this fuck nigga head to the white meat. Come on, viscerally. So I know if I'm feeling like this, I can imagine your average fan really at this point wants to start seeing Kenny Omega whoop Don Callis family's ass. So But yeah, I loved the match. I thought it was great. I was like, man, if MJF wrestled like this, like most of the time, I wouldn't have half of the issues, like doing the bullshit and like the meme wrestling and all that stuff. Like, he did his kangaroo kick and stuff like that. But for the most part, this was like a serious style match. So, Kenny Omega would not have it otherwise. He refused to let MJF drag him down. So, like I thought this was an excellent match. I would probably go 4 3/4 on it.
Yeah, I think I didn't think about a rating until I think yesterday, but yeah, that's probably what I'd go 4 3/4. For me, this is the part of why like we get frustrated with MJF when he doesn't do what we think is his best work, because we know what he's capable of, and he's done it, time and time again, in his brief career on national television. When he's wrestling his counterparts like the other pillars, when he's wrestling top dogs like CM Punk at the time, like Danielson, like Adam Cole, like this Omega match, and it was awesome. Like, he stood in the pain, did all the shit that, he claims he doesn't want to do or didn't want to do, and doesn't, it does the whole troll thing with New Japan or whatever else. He went out there and had a Kenny Omega match, and it was awesome. And, small part aside with the Callis interference, where I saw that coming, I thought this match was great. Like, I mean, I just knew that I didn't know that the Kenny Omega response to the reverse Hurricanrana was going to be a reverse Hurricanrana, but I knew the reverse Hurricanrana spot was coming. I still think that MJF, for as much as it annoys me that he does the whole thing where he's an old school wrestler and then proceeds to jump around the fucking gym and do these stupid ass spots like everybody else, even though he claims he doesn't do it. He still gets a lot of mileage out of the part where like he doesn't do that stuff. So when he does do it, it still catches people off guard. When I'm just like, I've seen you flip that before. I've seen you do topes before. That don't surprise me.
That man's life on that Fosbury flop.
Yeah, that was bad. That was real bad. That was not quite the AJ Styles Fosbury flop at all. And he was off center. Off axis. Actually, that's the word. But it was a lot more QT Marshall than it was AJ Styles or Will Ospreay or Pac. But yeah, great match as you mentioned. He set in the pain and ate those V triggers, and it was fun. It was super fun, and great match. It's one of my favorite matches in AEW this year. It's one of my favorite matches in general in the whole world this year. And yeah, like, if you ask me from a minute per minute pacing situation, I think this is quite possibly my favorite MJF match. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought that like the dog collar match for a lot of people was great. I thought that the first match in Chicago where he beat CM Punk was great. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I thought the Danielson match, the last 20 minutes of that match were special. The first 40 minutes didn't grab me in that way. Or last 20 minutes in overtime. But that didn't grab me in that way because of the pacing. This match gave me, and I also thought the Cole match that first teased them, going into Wembley when they had that 30-minute time limit draw. I thought that match was great too. That's probably my second favorite MJF match. But this was great. It was great, and should we start treating Kenny Omega like we treat LeBron, or like any sliver of greatness? Anytime he does greatness, we now talk about this is like year 21. Like, look, man, he's almost 40 now. Like, we can't be expecting this man to come out here and do this, looking to reduce schedule. He just kind of keep bullets in the chamber just for us to come out every so often. He can go out here and do this for us. We should appreciate this. We should appreciate greatness.
I think few things are starting to bother me more than maybe it's some of it's storytelling. Maybe some of it is people running with it, is like the broken down Kenny Omega can barely stand and do this. I'm like, bro, when all you still doing is putting out greatness, I just don't buy into the I'm so broke up thing. It's like it's the Hiroshi Tanahashi shit. like to where this man's falling apart or whatever, like in like 5-6 years ago or whatever. But like it's like, yo, talking about how washed up you are. It's like, you're not washed. Stop. Like, stop this. Like if you were washed, like maybe it's better that he does it while he's not actually washed. But I'm just like, all right, because then people start like believing that shit. Like, yeah, he really broke up. I'm like, all right, man, stop this. Like, this nigga is who he has been. He is the cleaner, and that's just no shock to me. Like, when he rolls out and is great, it's like, I would just like people to recognize, just like, hey, it's always been like this. And if you just getting on board now, it's not too late. It's not too late for you to, come to the real and understand what this has been since 2016.
At the latest. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's not too late to come join up, but god damn, like look at the stuff you missed. If you like this, we should go, do this. Did you know that this was, I think the last time I saw this on Twitter, someone had said this match had a 9.47 rating on Cage Match, right?
That sounds too high off initial voting, but you know how that is sometimes when it comes to like the Dynamite, like or the AEW matches. Sometimes like people go over the board for them sometimes. So yeah,
happens with MJF sometimes too,
especially MJF, because people be like, we believe in him. He finally gives us the one, like similar to the the dog collar match or the Iron Man match. Yeah.
Is now at a 9.35. Okay, that 9.47 when I originally saw that's the 15th highest Kenny Omega match on Cage Match. Like, this is child's play. This is common practice for this man. Someone also put another screenshot out. I think it was like, of the 10 highest rated matches on Cage Match, Kenny Omega's in 5 of them. What are we like? Yo, like, that's special, man. So like, I'm glad MJF walked in the ring and didn't fuck around and bullshit. And as far as like, how they actually did the match, and how I said earlier, I felt like this was like actually the definitive win that crowned him as the top person.
Even more so than Danielson?
Yeah, because like even at the end of the Danielson thing, it was like, the huge element of cheating from
with
his
the ring.
part,
yeah,
with the ring, also
definitely.
with the fire extinguisher and all that, and then the Moxley thing was a total like shambolic charade. I'm not crowning you the boss for beating Adam Cole of all people. Like, no, like the pillars, no, like
right,
Ricky Starks, no, like Samoa Joe, no, sorry, like the person, like he's like.
You got to either beat Moxley or Omega.
Yeah, it's like, it felt like slightly a changing of the guard a little bit. Like, and it was like, man, like I feel like this was, like obviously they did the Callis thing. I'm not taking that away,
right?
But you find me a more definitive win for MJF in the history of this company. Like he never beat
the only
Jericho
other one
like
you really
this.
have would be like the Cole match at Wembley. That would be it. Because Adam Cole was one taking all shortcuts and he didn't.
Yeah.
That's literally it. Like, he only has, like, and even this, by the standards of MJF, this is, like, one of the cleaner matches you're ever going to see. Because, like, that's the thing that bothers me with him is, like, he has this fucking insistence on never having beat anybody clean and never beating anybody clean. Meaning, like, the bell rings, there's nobody, there's no foreign objects, there's no shortcuts taken that leads to near falls and that kind of shit, and someone's left, behind in the race, if you will, because of that, and you can never catch up. It's always that kind of shit, that element in his matches. This is about as clean as you get. The only one that's cleaner is really the Adam Cole Wembley match. From his perspective, because Cole cheated up and down, but at least the right person won it, didn't cheat.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, it seems like this is like the definitive defense, I'd say. And this is like, when I saw this, I was like, yo, I don't think he's losing the belt anytime soon. At least it felt that way or whatever. I'm privy to a couple of things, but yeah, I don't know exactly where they're going. But they've got 2 pay-per-views before the end of the year. There's a lot of opponents circling. Of course, Wardlow. Samoa Joe is around. Jay White is around. And I feel bad for Jay White. Once again, you got to follow Kenny Omega. The lesson is always, going back to 2018, Jay White is not Kenny Omega. There are a lot of people that still need to learn this lesson, that have fought this, that have denied this through Wrestle Kingdom this year, through the last 4 or 5 years of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And they're going to learn again. But, yeah, like, one would think MJF's wrapping it up soon, but this feels like they've dropped a substantial investment in him. Brewhaven had a good question here. And he says, what would you say is Kenny Omega's defining New Japan match and his defining AEW match?
Like to the general master, me personally.
I guess to you.
The defining New Japan match for me would be the 2017 G1 final against Naito, which I think is the third greatest match I've ever seen. Like he put Naito over. The match is incredibly violent. It's literally as good as anything I've ever seen. Well, except for 1 in 4 of Okada Omega. Honestly.
I'm still gonna go with Wrestle Kingdom 11, the first Okada Omega. And it was like, this, to me, he was already a superstar like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was already like, I watched the G1 the previous year. I was already like, kind of like headed that way, for my fandom. And then it was just like, people couldn't stop talking about this guy. And this was like the first of that. And that's happened since then. A lot of big matches in like, no matter who's in there with him, whether it's Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Chris Jericho, it's like you leave talking about like the performance Kenny Omega gave, whether he won or lost or whatever. And it was like that set off like just, and I don't think you can take away from anything from 6/9/18
right.
Of the Okada Omega 4,
right?
And obviously I think you're arguing either 1 or 2, but that felt like the culmination of a journey. It felt like all the roots were planted in that Wrestle Kingdom match to be like something that New Japan Pro Wrestling hadn't had in a long time. That the world of wrestling didn't really have at the time, because it was like, Danielson's in injury exile.
Right.
CM Punk is gone. Yep. And AJ Styles is in WWE at this point, but he's in WWE at this point, so like he's in
WWE, and they made him the man on the B show.
Yeah, so it's like, who's next?
And Gargano hadn't rose up yet, really, in that way as a single. Yeah,
and it's like, there's this whole ecosystem, and I think a lot of people followed Kenny into appreciating the greatness of a lot of those guys, like in New Japan. So as far as AEW goes, I think that one's a little tougher.
Real quick before you get to that, I think the thing for me when I mentioned the Naito G1 match from 2017 was just like, it was an ongoing story of the journey of both of them to eventually be the person the race to chase to knock off Okada. They both were chasing after it. And it was like, very similar to when we talk about like so much of like last year with Tam and Julia, is like the mountaintop is Shuri, the mountaintop is Okada. One of these two is going to be the one to topple them, and they got to go through each other to get the right to be the person to do it. And one of them may beat the other to get there, and the other one may fail when they finally get to the summit and get knocked back off and have to go again. But it's going to be one of them two. And that was a lot of the online stuff between Naito and Okada, Naito and Omega fans, whatever. It was like, they knew. They didn't, I don't necessarily knew they had it verbalized or verbalized it like that's what was up. That was really the chase, was who's going to knock off Okada. But that's what it was, back then when everybody was, sniping at each other at that time. So yeah, like for me, it was like Omega had this incredible year. He burst onto the scene in 2017 in that way with that match. And then it's like, he goes to that G1. He's awesome in it, of course. Naito's awesome in the G1. Then they have that match. It was like, One of them's whoever wins is going to the Dome, and they're probably going to beat Naito. Or sorry, they're probably going to beat Okada. That didn't happen, ended up going the other way, but it was still like a great swerve in that way of like, just because, doesn't mean just because you win this, you want it to mean you're guaranteed it. And it ended up being, a bigger thrill for both of them to eventually topple Okada later, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, as far as AEW, I'm going to say, the 30-minute draw with Bryan Danielson, it just felt like the peak of the company, honestly. And it was like, it doesn't get any bigger and better than this. Like, as far as like when that belt pop, when it comes, you're seeing the Danielson give that I just finished smoking this huge blunt smile that he gives, and then Kenny's trying to stay and carry it to him. I don't give a shit. Like you in here with me now. And then it's I would definitely say that, or the tag match. I still think the tag match with the Bucks and Hangman Page as well. For me,
it's the tag match still, because that thing was just such a great storyline that you could be on either side of. Because like, at that point, even then, I still didn't see the amount of people that gravitated and like the Hangman thing situation, right? Never saying anything from his perspective, and I was just like, I don't get it. I know that but I see that Matt's cooking this man. Right, and I see that it looks like he wants to turn on Omega, even though Omega did nothing wrong, and I'm just finding that kind of just be strange and everything, and what did Omega do? And I'm just like, but you watch that match, you see it play out, and the whole part where him and Matt hate each other's guts, or have such detest each other in that way, and you got Nick in Omega trying to keep the peace, and then eventually that peace got just broke up because it just turns nasty, and then it turns into one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And maybe that's too many elements involved to be clean in that kind of way for the tag match or whatever, for it to be the definitive Omega match. But if you want to go with a singles, I'll probably say the Grand Slam match. Yeah.
And as far as MJF, we had a question from Josh McLaughlin. He was saying, how long is it before MJF drops the belt at this rate? It's hard to predict all over again. There's been part of me that has been thinking, what if Tony Khan has gotten back to his original outline with the AEW Championship at this point?
If CM Punk never exists, you mean?
Correct. And where was the belt going after MJF? Wardlow.
Yeah, it probably was in the plans, but it seems too shot. They got to heat him up, and obviously they're giving him a long track to catch back up or whatever. I would say the exit date needs to be by Revolution. It could be before, but it needs to be by at least Revolution.
I find it really hard to picture him making it through the next two pay-per-views. It feels like Jay White had a chance before the Omega match, but I'm like, if he's putting him over this clean, kind of to stamp him that much, to turn around and lose it right away, would be shocking to me.
You know what it would be like? You remember when Mayu beats Shuri, then beats Takumi in a 2 or 3 week span, and then 3 weeks later after that she loses to Utami. People want to know is you got your signified ace runs, definitive runs of this title reign that will be the ones that people point back to and everything, over the level of wrestler and also the level of quality of match. And then weeks later it's just off you. So it was hard to, so it was kind of I don't think they're going to do that. And then they did it. Ultimately it worked out because of the time he had an incredible run. But I mean, obviously Jay White's capable, but it's you just had the signature win of the late part of this run. I probably would have felt better. I probably would feel better for Jay White if that had been the December pay-per-view they're doing. I probably would feel better for it.
So think about this though, and I just kind of got a kind of a, I don't know, a realization. I saw a lot of people saying, no, man, he got surgery October 12th. It's not a work. So on Cole, by the way. So there were a lot of people upset and perturbed that he was like, yeah, man, like, why does MJF have so many opponents? Like, why are there so many people going after him and all that? I'm like, well, think about it now. Now we've got Full Gear, we got Winners coming, and then we got World's End. So all within like 3 huge shows within maybe like a 90-day, like a 60-day span, if that.
People are complaining about this?
Absolutely. Just
so they're fucking stupid.
Their heads are exploding like that. More than like one person wants to fight the world champion. Especially like what we've had to deal with the last 2 months. Like most of these people making these complaints, like they're used to like the world champion disappearing for like an entire quarter of the year. So like I really don't want to hear that shit. But like they like, you know, I think they got they have a lot of big shows coming, and some of these people are beatable, some of these people are not. And I think one of them is bound to surprise us. I feel like it. I don't know. Like I feel like, you know, like it, you know, Cole he's an option if he can get healthy, right? But, you know, they've got this whole whodunit devil storyline and all that. Can I be the first one to say, I don't give a fuck who the devil is, just unmask. I'm not here for the whodunit. I don't care.
It's been so many weeks now at this point that it's like it's lost all steam for that. And obviously that means like it was pointed towards Cole, given that it's died on the vine in this way.
Yeah.
So back to the part where apparently people are upset. There's multiple people that want to win the top prize in the promotion. Have we lost the plot that fucking much?
So my original thought was like all these people were circling because they're going to announce the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament that they do all the time around Full Gear. That was my original thought.
Even if they weren't doing that, which is obviously the point. Not all those, there were so many people that obviously he wasn't going to give title shots to all of them, which means what was going to happen? Rich, let's think of it in terms of what happens when people don't win the Royal Rumble and they have to go to WrestleMania season. They were both fighting people were fighting in multiple instances in the Rumble to get to the title shot in the main event of WrestleMania. One person eliminated the other person, and that other person blows their stat because they blew their chance, so therefore they're going to wrestle over it. If everybody is chasing after title, people are going to cheat each other and screw each other over to get there. Therefore, there will be animosity built, and then therefore their
enemies.
Quest is going to be moved away from the title and towards each other, and they collide. That's simple fucking storytelling. That's sports. That's soap opera. That's everything that pro wrestling is. What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
Yeah, man.
Also, if did you prefer before when it was him and Adam Cole going through whether or not they can be friends because they're going to fight over the top prize promotion? Like they're not fucking adults. Was that better?
Personally, I prefer this. I
you
think
and everyone else.
I think that it's like, yeah, man. Like a lot of the stuff with the MJF friendship stuff was like it felt fitting for something that didn't have the world title wrapped up in it. And I know people are going to say the point of it was the world title, but I'm like, yo, when they're throwing the world title away from them.
The match proved that the whole point of it that was that the title was more important than friendship was more important than their title. That's what they were going through it. That's why MJF was being the good guy and ended up quote unquote deserving the title because he didn't take the shortcuts that Adam Cole did. Now Adam Cole lost. He was ejected that he lowered himself to trying to be worse than MJF when it came down to it. In as far as valuing the friendship was more important than the belt, and they did the wrong way doing it that way. The other way, the way to do that, the friendship is better than the belt is like Kenny Omega after beating Okada, after having all of this disjointedness with the Elite, hugs the Elite before he grabs the title. That's the way you do friendship is more important than the title.
And they ever since they pivoted, like, with Kenny Omega and MJF, that's straight out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want to be the man that defends, like, I'm the last person to defend my record or whatever. And, let's get to it like that. That's easy, resonating, easy way to, like, get to something.
Kamatani Momo at the beginning of this year at the anniversary show.
Yeah. I want to hold on to my record or whatever. Like, that's, I don't know, man. Like, but as far as win or lose, I have trouble thinking he makes it past World's End, and I know that will require beating him in New York, Nassau Coliseum. I think they're past that shit now. Like, as far as, like, someone in their hometown always has to win,
especially when they've had, like, MJF beat CM Punk in Chicago before.
Yeah. So, I don't see the only part that I am kind of perturbed about, if, like, a babyface doesn't end up winning this thing, because it looks like it's going to go to a heel whenever the switch happens. It's almost like, all right, like, I want to be taken on a ride with a good guy, and that's, like, a big reason that WWE has had success of late. Started with Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, all these babyfaces,
even the Usos, even Jay,
all these babyfaces that people believed in and wanted to see win. They ultimately, like, fucked it up because they didn't have any of them win. Now they're even getting behind LA Knight.
But at least they recognize that the value of the story is they want to see the potential conquering hero go on the journey to get there. It climbed the mountain and win.
Like, we're not getting, like, a hero winning this thing. We're gonna get, like, another heel, just like MJF won it, like, with a heel. So, like, I personally am looking to see a good guy, rise out of this. Like, because I'm like, all right, if you're going to heels, like, talking about Samoa Joe, you're talking about Wardlow, you're talking about Swerve, Takeshita, who else? Jay White, like, it's one of those five. It's got to be, unless something's get pulled out that I'm not thinking of.
Another heel, scenario.
Yeah, Cole, like, if he turns or whatever. But it's like, Black Sabre Jr. could Swerve, Takeshita, or Hangman stand a chance of beating MJF. Hangman feels so far away removed. He's in his own universe now, kind of with Swerve. I don't think he's a championship contender right now, especially when he was. I think he lost some, like, tournament or something like that. Like, it just hasn't been MJ or Hangman's time to go near the belt or anything. I would love Konosuke Takeshita to win, but that would require them, like, booking him in bigger and better spots. He had a match with Kyle Fletcher on Rampage that was really great. But he's standing behind, like, everyone while this, like, he beats Kenny Omega clean on pay-per-view, and what's happened since? I like, is it a case of you can't give him something bigger than that right now, so they just have to wait? Like, I'm sorry, you got to do better than that.
It's the focus on them trying to split the half between, like, the Jericho and Omega stuff for the Callis family thing. That I think is, causing some of those issues. I think ultimately the real answer is the next champion is going to be Will Ospreay. I honestly think that's what the real answer is. But,
that would be great. That would be great.
Right, like, like, it just, he has all the fresh matchups, when it comes down to it. Like, he can win, he immediately do, like, stuff with Hangman, or do a third match with Omega. The Moxie matches, while they're great that he's had, aren't talked of in that way. You can still draw an AEW big with them. Yeah. Danielson, if you can stay healthy.
We should probably talk about that.
All right, let's get to it.
Bryan Danielson. So he was wrestling Andrade on Collision maybe like 2 weeks ago. And catches the elbow, I believe. Ref, like, steps in and is like, hey, what the fuck's going on? They're like, hey, what is this? This man gets his shiner. And then he rolls into the tag match the next week with the presumably the broken orbital bone in the tag match, and is like that old Rick Martel, don't hit him in the face. Rainmaker to the chest. Superman punch, or the orange punch to the chest, you know. And then Danielson was doing all this goofy selling at the end, right? When I saw this selling, I was like, look, this injury did not happen in this match. Like, I was like, this is that bullshit selling or whatever. And it turns out the way the stories are broken is that, oh, he did not get hurt in this match. He got hurt previously. So they worked the whole match or whatever. And kind of made it look like Okada's responsible for whatever. So it's like, set the angle up. That's cool. Like, I'm with it. And then, you know, this leaves Claudio to go after Okada, or, you know, maybe even Moxley on one day or something. And then it leaves the door open for Danielson. Problem with Danielson right now, this guy's getting hurt at an all-time pace almost. It's like 4 matches, injury, 5 matches, injury. Like, he's falling apart.
Yeah. He's my favorite wrestler of since we started back watching wrestling in 2011. He's my favorite wrestler of this whole era, this whole run. And he can't do this at this level. Like, he finds ways to work around these injuries, but he can't stop from getting injured in the middle of these matches. Like, the part where he's so genius is that, like, he gets injured, he can get a rod put into his fucking, you know, arm, and then be able to wrestle these matches and have these incredible matches with these injuries. But he can't figure out how to not be injured. And look, this has been going on for a long time, the way he's changed his game. Like, when he came back from the concussion stuff in 2018, like, the running drop kicks in the corner, like, the way he figured out how to, like, just grab onto the rope so he would not back bump on his head, right? Like, he has mastered pro wrestling in a way that he is able to give you matches that are this kind of great while he's in there really protecting himself as well as you possibly can. But even while he's still protecting himself and you know, keep away from getting damaged, he's still getting broke the fuck up because he's been doing this a long time. You know, hard style, top level for damn near all the years he's been doing it. And then, you know, he's had years away from the ring, and it's just like it sucks to see. It's like seeing an all-time great, and it's like they're just on a minute restriction and they can't work the second night of back to back. You know, and that's where we are. That's where we are in this situation, and it stinks. And we're clearly, you know, we're beyond the back 9. Like, we're on like the last 8 holes. You know,
it feels like creeping towards us, like with Danielson. And like, I always thought his whole thing with the daughter is wanting me to wrap it up in the year. I always thought that was bullshit. Like, I always thought that was storyline or whatever. But damn, if it turns out that shit is like, yeah, man, I actually got to lay it down instead rather than like stepping away for family. Like, I actually got to lay it down.
He's at that stage where he's doing more rehab than working on wrestling now. He has to work on all these. He has to get up and do all this shit to get himself, you know, in an upright position, you know, to do all this stuff. And then he has to go in the ring and figure out how to do this stuff and protect himself until the next fucking thing falls apart on him. It fucking sucks. It's just like when, you know, like when you would hear the stuff that Kobe was going through, or you hear something like Steve Nash is going through to stay up at that level at that advanced age. And, like, the way they would talk about it was like, look, man, like, I miss the planes and the rides and being in the locker rooms with the guys and all that kind of stuff. And I miss the game, but like, the hard part isn't the game. Like, mentally, like, I've done that a million times over. I could do that in my sleep, right? Like, I remember it was Julian Edelman was talking. He was on the Kelsey's podcast, the Kelsey Brothers podcast. He was talking about how, like, Ray Lewis, like, he would have when he, you know, in 2012, before he last year retired, like, he wasn't even practicing in full pads. He was just literally like be in slides and like just get where he would be, you know, off the ball and just take mental reps Not trigger or nothing. Not, guard pulls and he goes and pulls the pin and goes. He's just there and slides and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're at that point with Danielson. He's mastered all this years ago. He's figured out ways to compensate for all these things. We're not just at the point where, like, the stuff to get himself ready for the fake fight is more draining and consuming for him and all that kind of stuff than actually going through the fake fight until something fucking breaks on him again.
Yeah, and this is not like this is not a limb injury. This is not a you didn't blow a wheel or anything. Like, this is like, this is my fucking face. Like, it just like shattered. Like, it's just like, what do you do about that? It's like, and it's just a run of bad luck.
And
it's
also it's a run of bad luck, and it's also a thing where it's like, as you mentioned, it's not a bad wheel. He's going to be in the fucking Tokyo Dome. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and he's gonna get the surgery.
Right.
He's gonna wear the mask.
Right.
Like that Undertaker. He's gonna put one of the masks on his face, or he's gonna walk around like Rip Hamilton or Kobe Bryant or the goddamn Robert Kelly. Like one of you take
Naomi
your pick.
Or Naomi.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, people were making these jokes about how do you get your face broken in a wrestling match? I was like, are you unaware of what happens when you lay in a stationary position and let Oksana drop a knee into your fucking eye socket? Because I remember that. Anyway, yeah, man. Just as you mentioned, these aren't debilitating things where he's going to be out for months. He has to do all the rehab stuff. Like, that was that was the concussion stuff.
That was the neck. That was the concussions.
Right. That was a nerve damage and everything from the shoulder.
He beat that already.
Yeah, he's already figured out a way to work around things like that. We're not at the point now where it's like any dumb little fucking thing is gonna hurt, is breaking this dude up, and he's got to figure out a way to now wrestle with even more pain. And figure out how to tell another compelling story to grab you and put you on the edge of your seat while he's compensating for more stuff. And it's like, he's a genius, obviously, but we are really now stressing that genius level now. We're really stressing this stuff out.
Yeah. It's like you hurt one part of your body, you got to overcompensate with the other ones. Like, and now it's like his mind is like, who knows how mentally taxing all of this is.
It has to be. It has to be exhausting. Be like, fuck, I can't do this. I can't do that. He does this, but I can't take that right now. Cause, like, you're thinking of the Okada stuff, is like, I can't take like the floor dive cause, or the flip dive cause like, I'm too small to catch him. He might fuck around and land on my face or something. He has to think of all this stuff. He has to consider all that stuff. And that just has to be like, it has to be a bit frustrating cause also like, and even with someone like, Omega that's been broken up, was like him talking about like the things he has to think about while he's not right. And it's like, and still be able to come up with these performances so he knows what the stress level and what his expectation is for himself and what other people's expectations, the pressure that mounts. And like, Meltzer talks about this with like the best guys. The best guys get in real dark places at times when like it's time for their best performances, whatever else, because like a lot of that is like the insecurity and the pressure people put on themselves to be able to do this stuff at this level. And that's another one of those where it's like, he's wanted to do this for so long. He's wanted to be in the Tokyo Dome for so long. And now there's another thing you got to deal with. Another thing you has to account for. I feel bad for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope he gets right. Put him in that chamber. That they be. You
gotta be careful. Remember the last time he was in that chamber, he went crazy and kicked, and then he let his dreams choose for him, and then he kicked AJ Styles in the balls.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. You want to go back to One Nation Radio? Great moments and Rich Latter being pissed.
They ruined it. They got the greatest babyface comeback of a fucking you could ask for in a decade. They ruined it in 4 months. Oh my god, Rich was furious.
Furious.
And me, I was like, I'm with you, but he's so damn good. He gonna make it work in his own way. And we were both right. Right.
Yeah. Man. So I don't know what we should talk about next. Let me pull up my notes from Dynamite.
I think they opened with Phoenix and Jay White, right?
They opened with not Phoenix.
Or was that 2 weeks ago?
It was Jay White and Pentagon.
I said Phoenix, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, I meant Penta. My bad.
So, hold on 1 second.
Oh man, Dr. Larry said get the wood grain AEW world title belt. Rich hated that fucking wood grain.
Hell no, that's just a gimmick.
Yes, I mean they're all gimmicks. The Triple B is a gimmick.
That's why I ain't like that shit. Like,
I didn't like because it's like it doesn't look too much different.
It was MJF and Juice Robinson.
Oh yeah, so the Penta and Jay White was 2 weeks ago. That's what happened.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It was okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
Yeah.
That whole first hour, MJF was like, "Boy, this feels real USA Network Pro Wrestling."
So like the this shit, everything this Saturday, that shit was not present Wednesday. But we opened with MJF and Juice Robinson, of course. Dynamite Diamond Ring. He's won this thing 5 years in a row at this point. It's time to put this shit away now.
They should have. He should have lost that thing years ago. I think, and also now that he's a babyface, he doesn't quote unquote need it anymore because he doesn't need to cheat in his matches. Like the next, maybe not this year because he needed to beat Juice, to help forward the program with Jay White. But next year he can't win that fucking thing. He needs to be done with it.
Yeah, man, it's I don't know, like I'm tired of it.
It's become his sledgehammer.
Yeah. So we also had
Rich next year, will he have to get a new ring or can he just bring that to the E?
He could take it with him as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying, like, will he have to come new one? Because him and Triple H can get together and be like, yeah, man, I know all about storytelling. Let me tell you about storytelling. And man, pull out, and then Triple H like, let me show you something. He reached underneath his desk. And you pull out that fucking sledgehammer and be like, this is the sledgehammer. This is all of this is symbolism. This is symbolism for everything you are and your character. And MJF, you start nodding and say, yeah. So about the annual rate though. But yeah, man, like it needs to be somebody else to take over from this. Like I think it's time for him to evolve past this or whatever to move on. Especially now he's gonna be a babyface for time being. He can win it back in like 2 years, sure.
So they're in Philadelphia. They have basically the guns are out there. They jump on MJF's ass, and then the Kingdom turns up, helps them, and MJF told them to get their ass out the ring. The Acclaim came out. They chased Bullet Club Gold away. Jay White basically tells MJF that he's never going to get his hand on the belt again. Guns in challenge for a ROH World Tag Team title shot, and I want every ROH belt thrown in the fucking Harlem River. Throw it in the Cleveland, throw it in the fucking Cleveland River that catches on fire. I don't give a fuck about Ring of Honor anymore, bro.
We can't be doing this to Athena. But I don't disagree with what you mean with the sentiment. Yes,
like bro, like I just don't want to deal with it. Like I don't know. It's like an entire sub promotion, and it's like y'all don't really want the ROH belts. Like it's stupid. Like y'all not showing up on that streaming show. Y'all not doing none of that shit. Like this is just dumb. MJF agrees to it, so he's gonna be wrestling twice in one night once again. Roger Strong's out there, says MJF obviously is gonna pick them to help, but MJF tells him to roll off a cliff. Matt Caster says that means he's gonna pick them, but MJF says he wouldn't tag with him even if his body was on fire. Caster says that means there's a chance, and he wants the scissor, but MJF was like, nah. Then Kenny Omega came out and said, nah, man. I want this title shot, and let's get it popping Saturday.
3 days, bitch.
3 days, bitch. Yeah, real vascular coming out there too. So up next it was Philadelphia. So we had RVD and Hook against Silver and Reynolds. I didn't pay a lick of attention to this.
Apparently, Hook when he was younger called RVD Uncle Rob, and I thought that was fucking hilarious.
I mean, RVD, your cool uncle that smokes weed. Look, I think it makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. The thing is, right? Like when you have friends and colleagues or whatever else, and you have kids, there are certain people that you are perfectly okay with having that aren't your uncles or aunts being that are in your life. Like those people, your colleagues, your friends, actually being called. You're having your kids call them auntie or unc, right? I'm not exactly sure that Taz was envisioning young Hook, calling Rob Van Dam Uncle Rob. I just don't think. I'm not exactly sure. Did it ever strike you that Taz and RVD were close in that way? Because it did to me.
Who knows, man?
Yeah, right. I just thought it was odd because I'm pretty sure like Taz seemed like this fucking space cadet. Taz seems like too serious of a person to have time to be dealing with Rob off the job. You know what I'm saying? I don't get the vibe that they exactly clicking that way.
Taz,
I could be totally wrong.
They don't seem like Taz click with nobody, man. Like Taz ain't exactly, the most outgoing fellow in the world.
I think Taz got along with Jerry Lynn and with Dreamer. Compared to like Rob and Sabu, that's how I feel. I'd be totally wrong.
Wasn't kicking it with New Jack.
He was definitely maybe not. Maybe not. I know definitely. I know he wasn't kicking it. He wasn't kicking it with Sandman.
Taz and New Jack. Both brothers.
Oh
my God. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't pay a lick of attention to this, but Hook and RVD got the win.
What do you think of this crowd? I thought this crowd stunk,
bro. I almost could not blame this crowd. If this is what they were given a lot of old men on this show. And shout out to the old men. I'm sure we got some old men that listen to this show. We'll be there one day with you. But it seems like this company was like, being run over on this particular night when it was like all these back-to-back segments. And it's like Hook, Sting, Rob Van Dam, Sting, Ric Flair, who we'll get to in just a minute, the Hardys,
but that's
Jericho teasing the fucking Big Show. Like it was like, hey, buddy, Edge was around. It was like, hey, man.
But the biggest pop of the night was Ric Flair.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, Tony Khan's gift for Sting.
A human being. That is sex trafficking. Or that is human trafficking. That's sex. That is human trafficking. Hey. Here's a token of appreciation for you. A human being. That's not how that works. What?
So Shivani's in the ring. He welcomes Sting and Darby. Sting wants to thank, the two people we forgot last week. Thanks Darby Allin, saying that he couldn't have come this far without him by his side, and he's the best tag team partner he ever had. Some woos in the crowd, like kind of like ooh, like talking about Lex, like, and then he brings up Luger, I think.
Yeah, he did. He was like, "Hey, don't get the fuck." He's like, "Nah, man, not Lex." And I was like, that was surprising the way he actually responded to the crowd's reaction to it. I thought he was gonna like just thug it out, but nah, he's like, "I'll address it." He's like, "Nah, man, like." Me and Luger had our time, but like this dude has carried me more or less.
Yep. He wants to thank Tony Khan for letting him wrestle a little bit longer. Shivani then speaks on behalf of TK and thanks Sting, and he brings out this special gift, and then the music hits, and all of a sudden Ric Flair is in AEW, and I lose my mind.
So I'm of two minds on this. I think for Sting's career, it made all the sense in the world. And, I thought it was perfect, the perfect person. If you're going to bring out somebody for Sting's career, you bring out Ric Flair. I'm also of the mind of like, I saw that Dark Side of the Ring thing and I thought he should be out of the major pro wrestling business. So like, I get it. I get it. I understand it. And I'm just leaving it at that. I have no opinion of it other than I felt things emotionally when Ric Flair came out, and also acknowledge at the same time while that was happening, Ric Flair should not be on AEW or WWE television.
Yeah, it was tough to deal with looking at it, and then I was like, I was fired up by seeing Ric Flair, and I was like, I love Ric Flair
because it's Flair, it's Sting, it's Shivani, and it's fucking Turner.
Like, it's WCW. Yeah. Like, and it's like, if you wasn't there, I'm sorry. Like, there are going to be tough moments in life, people that we got to deal with that are around, that somehow skate on things, right? And sometimes these people are men in white, like, and it kind of breaks that way historically, right? And, I don't feel perfect about this, right? I don't have the perfect answer on this, on how someone should feel about it. Just me personally, I was happy to see Ric Flair there for Sting, and, Sting and Flair goes back 40 years. Yeah. And, I think Sting has done enough, and I don't know, I think this was a genuine surprise, too.
It seemed like it.
To really be Sting's retirement and all the bullshit Sting's been through in his career, the bad booking, the basically being sectioned off in TNA for years and years and years, by his own choice or whatever. But there's only so much WCW that's left, right? And I think some of us, and speaking for myself too, is the more you can kind of celebrate that just a little bit or whatever, it just feels good or whatever. I go hard for Jericho like that. We definitely talk about Tony Schiavone a lot with JD, and I was like, yo, he has to be recognized for his contributions and stuff like that. And Flair and Sting is on another level than being recognized for their contributions. They opened Monday Nitro, they closed Monday Nitro, they were there in 1988, 1989, 1990. Flair leaves or whatever, comes back, and he's still running it with Sting. All these years, they do it in fucking TNA. They're here now. Shit ain't gonna be perfect. Everyone's not getting canceled. And does that suck for people that or absolutely, you detest the things that Ric Flair has done? I saw the dark side of the ring too. I get it, but you don't get to win every one of them. I hate to say it, it almost as coldly as that, but it's he would have been here earlier had that shit not came out.
He was on the way in until we found out about it during the dark side of the ring stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I would make peace with it if I were you. I would chalk it up to this is Sting, and this is how we got to celebrate Sting, and you don't have to participate in it or whatever. I get it. Ric Flair did his last match or whatever. I don't count on Flair wrestling here. I don't think there's a chance in hell a doctor in AEW will clear him to actually work a match or anything. So he'll be here as a manager. He'll give us some funny moments or whatever, and he'll be out of our lives by Revolution of next year, presumably.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, they basically state that's kind of what they said. He's only here for the Sting retirement tour, and he's done. I agree with some of the things you're saying as far as of what he's meant to that particular those particular channels. And the moment of those three in the ring together to do this, it's actually you can't do, in reality is for the best thing. If you're going to do a Sting retirement tour, you have to get Flair involved at some point.
There's only so many people you can get.
Right.
For Sting.
Right.
These people are dead. These people are
in wheelchairs.
Far away in wheelchairs. They're not able to get out there. It's it had to be Flair. You had to call him.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out that like the people that have their
wrong.
They're not wrong. You're right. In fact, I'm not even saying you're not wrong. You're right. Period. You're right. This is happening. And I'm not. I don't have anything the way to deflect or make anybody feel better about it or whatever else. If you have an issue with it, you're within your right because you're right ultimately. And we'll see what they do, and hopefully that doesn't turn people off. The ones that still just want to watch wrestling and not have to deal with people like this. But yeah, that's all I have to say on it. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like I absolutely was like, I felt that was a feel good moment for me. It really was. When I just initially when the music hit and I was like, holy shit, he's out here for this and everything. And then I thought like, yeah, as he walks for him, I was like, he shouldn't be here, but it was a feel good moment at the same time. It was very bittersweet, very bittersweet. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the building the night Hulk Hogan came in for Raw Reunion. It felt like I was at a Trump rally. Everyone was just cheering him in unison and all that. And it was like, wow, these people really don't care. So like, I don't want people to feel like I don't care.
Right.
Like with the thing with Flair, it's just like, it's difficult.
Detaching your emotion from your black and white like thoughts on clear cut. It is separating your emotion from like your it is. It really is.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's tough, man. It just, I kind of disconnect, I'm enjoying it for Sting, so I guess, I think that's how I'm gonna look at it. But, moving forward, Christian Cage comes out there,
Christian Cage came out as the ombudsman of AEW. He's like, okay, you really want to do this? I'm going to point out why your ass shouldn't be here. And then, yeah.
Flair says, there are few far in between magical moments. 35 years ago, him and Sting made history on TBS at the first Clash of Champions, and they went 55. He said going 55 minutes is hard. Even, in 1988, even now, but Sting never took a deep breath. Says Sting is not only one of the biggest celebrities in AEW, he's one of the nicest guys ever known. When he got the invite from TK to be here, he couldn't say no. He wants to be here the whole journey. Drop the woo. Christian Cage comes out. He said Tony Khan's a billionaire, and this is the gift he gets. Gave him a suit, gold chains, and a black liver. He said it's impressive that he doesn't look like Weekend at Bernie's. He said knows Flair isn't dead, and he knows there isn't a God because if there was, Flair would be dead 20 years ago. Flair just kind of looks on like, yeah, you're right.
He probably corrected in the ring. It was like however many years ago that plane crash was.
Yeah. 1975. That was for Josh.
Holy shit.
So the situation is not going to go away until he makes it. He knows Sting wants to make it the Revolution, but it's a beautiful picture, but he sees it differently. He wants them going right now. He suggests Sting and Darby get a partner and have full gear. It's not going to be a celebration. It's going to be more like a funeral. Sting accepts it and says he's allergic to jackasses.
Yes, which then are... Okay, go ahead. Continue the rest. You know where it leads to after this, so.
Yeah, like, there was a spot later on. Edge is backstage. Adam Copeland, sorry. Happy birthday, Edge, by the way. Turned 50 years old.
Big Cope 50 now?
Big Cope turned 50.
Okay.
So, shout out to Big Edge. Sting rolls up on him. And he's like, yo, man, take the blinders off. Take the blinders off. And he shakes that man on the shoulders or whatever.
He hits him on the shoulders. And what I wanted him to do was I wanted Sting to, this is, the only examples I have of this are very problematic situations or whatever else in these movies back in the day, like James Bond movies, where it's like, you put your hands on their shoulders and you shake the shit out of them and you give them fucking whiplash. It's one of them. Like, I wanted Sting to, instead of just hit him on the shoulder, be like, wake your ass up! This thing ain't shit! But But then again,
I've been down the road with Lex Luger. I know what you're feeling, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
but then you also got to think like, I don't think you can clear edge to get shaken because he might catch whiplash on that stack of dimes. So he's like, nah, man, the most you can do is just hit him on the shoulders, and that'll make people think that you should shut him. But you can't shake shut him because you shake shut him, he can't wrestle no more. And I'm out of however many $1 million we did to bring Big Hope in.
Yeah, so I like the fact that Lex Luger is now in AEW canon, as has been mentioned. Shout out to Big Lex. Hope to see him before Revolution. But
that'd be nice.
We'll see. So,
I had to run up on Darby and be like, so he like humor, huh?
Yeah, what is it about you? I had the muscles.
Luger wasn't that like that, but like, given what if you don't know that, you probably think he was a big old musclehead that thought that, I should get a push because look at my body.
So, we got the Young Bucks and Adam Page against the Hardys and Brother Zay. It's a decent match, but I gotta say, man, the crowd didn't care. They kind of won them over towards the end, but it was not enough. I thought, and I feel like the Young Bucks are checked out right now. Checked out. They have this look on their face like, we just showing up. We just doing whatever. We're not, really going as hard as we can. There was a story that was reported.
Do they still have the Adam Page dark cloud over their heads that haven't been lifted?
I don't know. I would think if I was them, I would feel like I won, but maybe they don't feel like that or whatever because they did do business at Wembley Stadium. And maybe that business was set to come back to them, and maybe that business ain't exactly working out how they want. And there's a lot of domino effects going on, like around the card with this situation. And, dropping those tag belts to Ricky Starks and Big Bill. And then, there's some reporting was coming out talking about, this whole thing, was set up to go to the Bucks, like in LA, and this whole thing's gotten complicated. The Bucks haven't mentioned on TV in weeks, like about challenging for the belts. Like they've kind of been off the show and then kind of randomly back here. With the 6-man thing with Hangman, we already know Hangman's in a feud of his own, so It's like, what's going on here? Something weird is happening, and I think the Bucks look totally checked out right now, and. This is someone that consider myself a huge Young Bucks fan. I feel like I know when they're going 100 miles an hour or when they're going as hard as they can. It seems like they're letting something affect them. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Maybe I'm psychoanalyzing them and I shouldn't do that or whatever.
I mean, they also had to slow it way down for the Hardys, so you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So there's also that part, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's just like, I feel like if these guys were more engaged with, like, the stuff on screen at large, like, maybe I would feel differently.
Right.
But, that Black Sabre Jr. got the contract and laid it down. Biggest tag team contract in history of wrestling, lay it down immediately. Lots of football players have done this before, but I'd be shocked if the Bucks did that, like, personally. But I don't know, man. I just hope people actually want to do business because I know these guys did at a certain point.
I mean, that would be nice. But
But it's like, maybe the business isn't even like, when FCR loses these belts to Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Doesn't that like kind of take the wind out of the sails of them losing it again?
It was for me, and we talked about that then. It was like, aren't y'all about to do the match at the Forum? Like, is the thing like you just want to give a pat on the back to Ricky Starks because of like this, him and CM Punk and the start of Collision, and y'all had plans to do something with Starks, and like with the CM Punk thing being fucked up, like you kind of felt like you had to do a make good for Ricky or whatever else. I can understand that. I can understand that easily.
Yeah.
It's fucking up the bigger business though. If that was the case, and I'm willing to give FTR the benefit of the doubt that learn that that was what their intention or whatever else. But they'll straighten this out, or hopefully they'll straighten this out and figure this thing out, because you can't have the Young Bucks not in the top match in the forum. You just can't.
Yeah, it seems like this was another big coronation for these guys. They haven't been tag champs since they got that 2-week run in the middle of 2022, which was not planned or anything.
It wasn't planned. They make good because Jeff's a fuck up.
Yeah, so it seemed like they've been kind of angling for this one. They kept themselves kind of scarce. So by the time they get them belts back,
that was also because that was also because they was negotiating tactic. That was a Barry Bloom strategy.
Yeah, you gotta. Barry Bloom's newest client, Will Ospreay.
I heard.
I feel like this kind of tips something a certain way, but yeah.
I mean, look,
when you sign with Big Barry, who's getting the commission?
Barry's, look, Barry Bloom's new. You look at the AEW section. There's a lot of people already over there.
I feel like, hey man, whenever I've heard of Barry Bloom, it ain't never been with WWE. Ever, going back to the 90s.
Cool. I'm getting this joke off still. I'm still getting this goddamn joke off. Barry Bloom, he's like, look, man, we got all our clients already. We got to figure out how to reset the clock and reset the table on some of these contracts for some of our people or whatever else. Let's see, somebody like a Will Ospreay in WWE and see, once we get connected with WWE and talk to them, and we hang out here for a year or two or whatever else, we see what the lay of the land is, and then it's time for a potential move, or for a couple for a big group or whatever else in a few years. We already got the contacts, and everything we set up. It's not too different from when Rich Paul had a clutch client by the name of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Goes to the Lakers a year or two before LeBron James became available in free agency again. Just check out the lay of the land for the Los Angeles Lakers. And then eventually he signed with the Lakers. Sometimes even though you got a bunch of fish as client, sometimes you got to take care of your whales. Yeah.
But after this,
and been 4 years, with the Young Bucks age and Kenny Omega's age or whatever else. It's perfect time to go to WWE. That's when you go and you lay it the fuck down.
To go there and lay it down for real.
Yeah, you get that good check. You give them a good year or so, and then
don't give them that.
After you give them that special year, you can live off that for the rest of your life. You can go the AJ Styles route.
You go to Shinsuke Nakamura route. One match, lay it down. One match. I can't believe this nigga signed for the biggest contract in history. I can't believe this. They're never doing anything. Man. And then, okay. I skipped something. So before we go to the home invasion,
oh shit!
Before we go to the home invasion, Chris Jericho is in this interview with Renee.
Yep.
And he said the thing that's hurting him most is his ego. Speaking with Renee, he said he's always reflecting. He's always had immense self-confidence and knowing he could beat everybody, but he didn't even see it coming against Hobbs. There's splice and highlights from him getting destroyed. Said, does he have what it takes to beat Hobbs? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Is it time to step back, or is it time to get stronger and know that he's Chris fucking Jericho? Is it time to get revenge? So I got friends, and some of them are bigger than Hobbs. And immediately I'm like, oh no, they're going to do Jericho.
Yep. That was my first thought too. Nah, man.
Nah. That ain't it.
Not at all.
That ain't it. The only thing I can think of is if Tall Paul punches him and turns on him and joins the Callis family or whatever, and he's Don Callis' enforcer.
Look, man, they teased me at Wembley, before Wembley, with I was going to get in the back half of 2023, Lake Sex Gods. to tell me that I go from the back half of 2023 from having like Sex Gods to getting Jericho in 2023, I feel disrespected.
Gotta say.
Nah, man. Nah.
This ain't it.
Nah.
This ain't it.
Nah.
No, Jericho, I'm
like,
with you.
If it's I'll say this. If it's a one night only thing, I will hate it a lot less. But if this turns like we all of a sudden start getting Jericho, like, you know, and they're gonna be like another, you know, old school tag team like you know, the Hardys or whatever else, no thank you. No. Keep it the fuck to yourself.
I usually walk with Jericho about 95-96%.
Well, this time you need to tell him it's time for him. It's time to have his footprints in the sand, and he need to carry your ass. I ain't walking these steps with him.
Like,
no.
Look at me, Chris Jericho. It's me. It's him. It's the nigga that ride for you harder than anybody you can find. Listen to me. Chris Jericho. No. Not this time, my brother. Not this time. Do something else.
Rich, I thought these years finna finally say, hey, where was your wife on January 6, 2021?
Hey. You know, we ain't here to discuss the past. You know, we here to be positive today. You know.
This man said, all right, man, you really tweaking now. It's enough. We're going too far.
So, from what man I defended, a man I call a personal friend, Swerve Strickland was inside of Hangman Page's house. I had no idea he was up to such deeds of breaking a man's home. I don't know. Did he break any windows? Did I miss that part? Or
nah, I think he just found a key or the spare key or something like that.
They walked in, right?
Yeah, he walked in.
When he pulled the artwork off, he said, "Man, y'all ain't got no taste." Like I kind of died laughing.
Yes, I thought it was hilarious. It's like, it's a fucking baby's painting. It's a baby's figure painting, you asshole. I thought that was funny.
So, all of a sudden, you know,
no, if he had said that, if he went to the refrigerator and it had that same line, I would have died laughing even harder.
Man, I wish he would have like fixed himself like a bowl of cereal or some shit.
You can't go too far into that because then you might reach into like Seth home invading like the Copeland's territory where you just come off like a dork. You have to give something besides like the element of like either charm or not charm, but like of wit or disrespect or danger. And you know, the ones that the home invasions are rarely done well, and the ones that have recently is like this would probably be one of the better ones, along with like the one with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. He just rings the doorbell and says "Daddy's home," and then the camera goes off.
Yeah,
like the whole thing.
I'm not a home invasion fan, but I think
it's too unbelievable. It's too unbelievable.
Yeah, this one was kind of like he didn't come there to fuck the house up. He didn't come there to assault the man or anything like that. This was like. It's kind of like psychological. Yes, I would say.
Menacing. Like the part where they show the baby crib. Obviously, there's no baby in it or whatever else. It's probably not even really his house. But the whole part where they show the baby crib, you know that he has a child recently. He has a less than 2-year-old or whatever else. And like the mom's there, and you're just like the feeling of helplessness for like where the fuck is someone there to do anything? Like that was very menacing. I thought that worked. I thought it was very effective. Yes.
Yeah. And I can imagine people watching this thing. What is this black man doing in this house?
Oh, absolutely. Not even that. It was like, what? Oh my God, what is this black man going to do to this white baby? That was yes. Man, look, you think about this on a couple different levels. They're going like,
for something
has Cornette talked about this yet? I'm sure he's gone.
Oh my God, I might be tempted. I might be tempted to load up the Jim Cornette, or excuse me, I might be tempted to ask some of the followers and listeners of One Nation Radio to listen to that and report back to me, you know, to see how much Jim Cornette squirmed over Swerve this time. But yeah,
why didn't they send in the National Guard?
Why are you playing it on television?
Yeah.
You know,
You're like, hey man, you can't be doing this, Mr. Smoky Mountain New Jack guy. You can't be doing that.
Talking about making white people angry. All right,
right.
But yeah, like I said, I'm not normally like into the home invasion stuff, but I think this was like done kind of clever enough to where it was like, yeah, man, this was more clever than anything else.
This was very much the disrespect of, don't think that like you can't be touched. This was very effective from a level of like, Swerve is broken. He has gone beyond the pale. He has broken the code, right? So yeah, I thought this was very well done. And
they gotta have a lights out match, right?
Say again.
They gotta have like a lights out match now, right?
They have to have one of those somebody's got to die type matches. Yeah.
Someone got to feel it.
So yeah, that worked very well for me, and this continues just like. I think look, this is the best thing. This is the best thing in a long time that's happened to Hangman. It really is.
Yeah. Hikaru Shida versus Ruby Soho. This was a struggle
at all. This was bad. This was bad.
I watch these matches with Ruby Soho sometimes, and I'm like, and I ask myself, is she good or not? And then
it does.
I always find myself like, I'm not sure. And then I see this will come back. And I saw people sending out, gifts of her, and there was Statlander, and they were doing stuff like that when she was a smaller wrestler. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense why this wouldn't be decent at least. Was this just a bad night at the office with Shida? Because Shida also had a match with Abaddon this week. So they served Shida's over 2 this week.
Yeah. Ultimately, regardless of how good the match is going to be as far as like the technicalities of it, it was going to end up shit once you get to the part where Ruby was trying to get a DQ to win the belt. That's fucking preposterous. She was trying to say, hey, this person used the spray can on me and trying to do the Eddie Guerrero lie, cheat, and steal thing to win the belt, even though the titles don't change on DQ or count out. No, that's fucking dumb. And then eventually she just sprays the fucking belt or tries to spray. I think it was on accident. Sprays Ruby. Ruby luckily has the belt, holds the belt up. The belt gets sprayed. And then they continue on wrestling. This is bad. It's bad. Like, just fundamentally bad, and then technically it was bad, too. Just a bad match. Period.
Not good. Then we got the main event.
This is about as bad a match I imagine those two ever having.
Yeah. One of the worst, probably, TV matches of the year. Can't even dress it up. Then Timeless Tony comes out. And she's, like, doing all the posing and prancing on the stage way. Carl Shida's looking at her like, what the fuck is this? Because obviously she ain't seen no shit like this over in the homeland. But, usually the people that she sees dressed like some old school people, they're usually like the wrestlers. They dress like Southern grannies, not...
Oh, exactly like Raccoon from TJP Tuppy.
She's used to seeing that kind of like...
Dressed like some fucking antebellum damsel.
Yeah, she's used to kind of seeing that kind of tribute to yesteryear. She's not used to the starlet kind of
look like Nasty Poi or Himeka in the big ass bow joints.
Yeah, that's what she's used to. She's not used to the Timeless Tony thing, so it's a little different.
It's like obviously like there's different Disney's there is a Disney World over there, right, and everything, and like so. Obviously, culturally, there is a connection, but like I'm always seeing myself like as far as like the clothes, whatever. I was like, wait a second, why the fuck are y'all dressed like? Why are y'all dressed like late 1800s over there in 2023? Like what? Like why is Tam dressed like that today in this press conference, bro? What the fuck's going on?
Did you see that joint with her driving? She was like Tam. She was like trying to get her license and learn how to drive or some shit.
I ain't see this. No.
I saw it on Twitter. It was like she was like, "Yeah, I'd like to be a wife one day" or something like that. And then she's like, "I got to get my license."
Yeah, she she be working her marks with that one. She be working her marks with the whole like the waifu stuff that she be doing online. She be doing that. What was I gonna say? Like, what were we talking about just now? Sheeta. Yeah. So the Tony Storm thing. So, because I don't think we're going to talk about the match with Abaddon at all. Match is bad too, and then they did the DDT indie goofy indie or like Joey Ryan indie goofy thing where it's like we're going to pour instead of thumbtacks on the floor, we're going to throw like something else, whether it's toys or whatever. And like Tokyo Joshi Pro, like they would have these matches with like Shoko Nakajima and Hyper Masao where they would have fucking like dinosaurs, like Godzilla, like the, like 8-inch Godzilla toys and put them on the floor and they would body slam each other on, or they would bump onto those things because it's like hard or whatever else. What they did was we're going to pull out hard candy and we're going to bump on the hard candy. And I was like, and some of the hard candy wasn't even hard. Sometimes it was like those like sour worm things. I was like, yo, this looks fucking stupid. At least with Legos, them shits hurt. Some of that stuff is soft candy. This is dumb looking. And I was like, this is a bad look. And I was like, this, you mentioned like, we done put Sheeta behind the 8 ball twice in 1 week. And then that match ends and Tony comes out again. And Tony comes down to the ring and she's barefoot. And, she gets on she rips off the table thing, the table, whatever they call it, that sheet that covers the table, let's say a table cover. And then she places herself and sits and lays herself across the table. And she is laying on her side and she is facing towards Sheeta. And the announcers behind her, you get a shot of Nigel and Tony Schiavone and Kevin Kelly. And Kevin Kelly saw that backside and said, "What a star." And I fucking howled. Cause I was like, I know what you seeing and I know what you and what you said, but when the camera catches you and the rest of y'all looking at what I know y'all looking at and you say "what a star," oh my God, I died. That shit was hilarious. And I don't disagree.
It's funny you mentioned TJPW, James. I thought this match would have been more at home at Stardom and Showcase.
It's one of them. All the same shit. Shit that I do not want to watch.
I was like, yeah, we can. I understand what this is now. Like when I looked at in that context. But yeah, I feel like she's just keeping this belt warm. I feel like Tony Khan can't wait to put that shit around Timeless Tony's waist.
Look, all I know is when they have a match, it'll be better than the shit that we have been seeing Hikaru doing this week. So, and don't be wrong, like she earlier a couple weeks ago, like she was having some really good defenses. So I ain't got no misgivings or anything like that. Like I want to see Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm wrestle. I want them to have a feud in the program because like they're two of the better women's wrestlers on the roster, right? Like unless you're going to get Willow involved, and she seems to be doing something else right now with the whole Julia Hart eye thing with Statlander. That's
what you could have did, James. You could have been acting like you got misted by Malachi Black and just painted the eye.
Wait, what?
I said for Halloween, you could do like the eye or whatever. You get some paint and
Yeah, I didn't think about that, and I don't have like paint on hand. I'm not an artist. I'm sorry, I don't just have collections of paint on me. But yeah, maybe next time in a pinch, if I think of it, I'll get on to that. Yeah, sure.
So we had the main event: Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli against Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada.
Yep.
This rocked. This rocked.
Yep.
Anytime Okada comes to America, I feel like it's a celebration. Zach Porter booing in the comments. This is how I know this was good.
And go. I don't know why you even here. This is an AEW show.
But yeah, I thought this ruled. This was, I popped big time when they did the zoom out.
Yep.
Okada had the arms out. Orange Cassidy assumed it was a hug. It was time to hug.
And they zoomed out again.
That
was funny.
This is great. I like the way Claudio worked with Okada.
Yep.
Danielson and Okada. It was like it was almost like they were like, yeah, man, we didn't get to do everything we could the last match, so we're gonna like add some more on to like, what we started at Forbidden Door.
Yep.
I thought this whole thing was a setup to get to a Wrestle Kingdom match. Hopefully, it still is.
Same. Yep.
But yeah, this ruled like, and it was like it felt like really big stars were in the ring. Like, and I was just watching this like, how cool is this? Like, Okada's just here, like, just having a match, like, and it's dope. And he's in there with fucking Bryan Danielson, and then Orange Cassidy and Claudio, and it was like Claudio's fucking here. He was in WWE all these years. Like, I would have never thought he'd been there with Okada, and then I was just smiling a lot while I was watching this.
For me, this sold me on 3 matches. This sold me on wanting to see Orange Cassidy versus Claudio, which they were doing next week. This was in part what they were trying to do. This sold me on Okada and Danielson, the rematch in the Dome, and this sold me on wanting to see Claudio and Okada. It gave me 3 matches that I want to see in this, and also like it didn't necessarily like give me I want to see Orange Cassidy versus Danielson. But the way they started this match with Danielson and Cassidy, it was apparent. It was like, look, all the stuff that you lull people to sleep with the goofiness or whatever else and everything. Like, no, I know it's a trap because I'm a wrestling genius. I'm kicking your fucking teeth in. I'm kicking your ass. Danielson kicked Orange Cassidy's ass and it was on from there. It was so fun. It was such a fun match. Such a fun match. Yeah. It was an awkward post-match in the golf area. It really was, because I was like, what is going on? Moxie's here. So this angle, clearly, as far as the injury or whatever else, and we find out that ultimately, like, yes, he is legitimately injured, but the injury happened in a different place, and this is set up, taking him off TV. He still want to do the match. I commend Danielson for being a tough motherfucker. This is the second time soldiering through some shit with Okada. And like, I think it was Collision this week where like you get after the match, they announced they're going to do Claudio or maybe even during the main event, they were announcing they're going to do Claudio and Orange Cassidy on Dynamite on Wednesday for the international title. That's going to be great because they went out there and they showed they have perfect chemistry. And then on Collision, they do the promo talking about explaining that Danielson's on the shelf for now and Claudio is coming for Cassidy in his international belt, and he's coming for Okada, and like I can't wait to see those 2 matches now. Yeah, and Claudio as a serious cutting motherfucker is like I love the year that Claudio's had. I really have.
Yeah, I think we got 2 pay-per-views before the end of the year. We also got Wrestle Kingdom. Lord forbid Danielson's not able to make Wrestle Kingdom. You could send Claudio in his place.
That's why he cut that promo.
You could do him in Claudio at Full Gear. I don't know who's going to win the title match with Claudio and OC.
Because it could be like Claudio gets it as a makeup because Moxie can't be back. It could definitely be that too.
Right. Or it could be he's holding on to it because he's getting back to Moxley eventually. So I think there's a lot of intriguing ways to kind of go.
Yeah.
In the exit of this, but
it was definitely awkward, him selling and everyone looking around at each other and Okada mocking the jaw thing or whatever else. And we're kind of like, is there going to be some beatdown or whatever else? They're outnumbered right now currently, and they just go off air that way. But like now, knowing what we know now is like, okay, there was a plan. It's more focused now. And I enjoy, I like where they're headed with this whole thing with, BCC and, Chaos West.
There was a lot of like talking on this show. There was like, from some of the wrestling I wasn't necessarily into and all that, but
it was a
by the time it got to the main event, like I was definitely into the main event.
Yep.
And then like, Friday night they had some good wrestling like Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, of course.
How was that? I'm pretty sure it was great, but
I heard it was great. I didn't see Rampage, but I heard it was like 4 1/4.
Okay.
But then, Collision, as we mentioned, we both watched that, and gotta say, I'm not gonna be a every week Collision watcher, but if you're throwing like one big main event, like I'll drop in for that.
It's hilarious. They turn Collision into Saturday night's main event,
but backwards,
right?
Since I brought this up on JD's show, I was like, well, since Danielson can't have Saturday nights now, I guess is it time to send Kenny over there? Be like, hey, now you can you can get it for 10 weeks now.
It's not more than just Big Coat.
Yeah. I don't think that
ain't gonna be enough.
It ain't gonna be enough.
Something else. Yeah.
But Jay White and AR Fox had a very solid match. And that
I thought that match was good. Actually, I thought that match was very good.
Bro, when they came back from break, AR Fox had them going crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I was like, wow.
What happened? Right.
And it was like, I know he was in his home area. Like, he's from Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is not that far from the Mohegan Sun. And I thought it was cool. They, him and Jay White had been in New Japan so long, it was almost like he was isolated from like vertical guys, and like they've had like him in there with a lot of flyers this year, going back to Commander, and then Pentagon's not a flyer per se, but he's not glued to the ground either.
Right.
AR Fox here, and like it's an interesting take on his style. Santana and Ortiz was nice too. Black Sabre Jr. mentioned I saw a great promo package they did. I got it on DVR, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'm gonna go back and watch Rampage because those two matches enough for me to check that out. That is more than what they normally do on Rampage.
But they got like the vertical people for White style kind of makes it interesting, like because he gets to fall for traps early in matches and then kind of like rectify them by the end of matches and stuff like that, and it's usually pretty interesting.
Yeah. Also, another part about it is like with him, the thing that was frustrating for me at times with him was that like, someone like Jeremy that watched Ring Honor would tell me like that dude can fly, and it's like I'm sure he can because look at him, but there's no evidence that he wants to do it, and if he wanted to, he could because look at his contemporaries in the Gaijin space. In New Japan, they fly and do, dynamic stuff too all the time. He just don't want to do it because this is what his character is, what they've told him that what his character should be or what he thinks is best. And it ain't for me. So like when he comes to AEW and he wrestles these guys, like his matches have more life in them. And like he's on his best fucking behavior compared to all that Bullet Club, super heat, roll out, take powders bullshit he was doing for all them years.
Yeah.
If this had been the in-ring stuff we were getting from Jay White, the AEW Jay White, in New Japan, in them G1s, whatever else, I would not have had such a problem with him. And that was the thing that was so frustrating. I was like, we knew he could wrestle his ass off. We both acknowledged he's a great wrestler. Just he ain't our cup of tea. Cause it's like, bro, get to the fucking point already. Stop wasting time. Like he's out here trying to buy rounds and shit.
Speaking of wasting time, they did a lot of that on Collision. A lot of squashes, a lot of kind of backstage interview type things, and all I hear about is the great pacing of Collision, and in comparison to Dynamite, I gotta say, man, I was put to fucking sleep. Like I was ready to get to the main event by the time it came, and it was like, let's get it, man. And I think the main event like saved the show because it had been a little rough. There was a Dax Harwood and Ricky Starks match. It was all right,
bro. Let's let's be real. Like in 2019, we were getting those 2-hour NXTs head to head with Dynamites or whatever else. Them NXTs were would have kicked the shit out of what that Collision was, even with that Omega match. Like what you got in a 2-hour span, what you would get on them fucking squashes? No, we were getting competitive matches and shit.
Yeah.
Like we were doing like those special, you call them, New Year's Evil and, Halloween Havocs and Great American Bashes and shit. Like, nah, man, NXT was better than, peak NXT for, it got really, fucked up, but was killing, what that Collision was last, on Saturday.
So they seem to be setting up House of Black in a way where they're terrorizing lots of people. I guess that Malachi Black and Danielson thing is like gone. Like that's not happening. You know, but if they're like these terrorizers of the show,
cool. Whatever happened to Andrade and Malachi? Whatever happened to that?
I think they did 2 matches. Like they did.
They did.
Yeah, they did
singles
the ladder match. Yeah, they did a regular singles match, and then they did a ladder match or whatever, and then he wrestled Brody King, but he beat him.
No. I'm not talking about what the program was. Like they never got to the actual Malachi Black Andrade match.
that was Buddy. That
was Buddy. Yeah.
See, House of Black. You know, I don't be knowing. Like if it ain't Brody King, it's one of them. But yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know what happened to it, but I was very excited when the LFI ran out to basically break up all that shit. I was like, Roosh, I was like, oh, this is a fucking guy you should.
Where had he been?
Bro, no idea. Like he'd been doing this whole thing like he was too dangerous to be on TV or whatever. Like that was his angle or whatever.
Was that because of the Jungle Boy thing?
No idea. Okay. Oh, paternity leave.
Oh, okay.
He did have a child recently. I didn't
know that. I had no clue.
Yeah. They came back. I popped because I had said Rush should be definitely a guy that should be pushed.
Yep.
Because like that man busted his ass for like a year and was like he put himself on a prove it deal.
He's a fucking star, and when he showed up, like, he performed as if he was a star and was motivated. He absolutely deserves the spot.
Like, he was great. Like he was excellent. Like
yes,
count me.
Remember
in
him and Hangman.
Yeah, count me in on that. Like him and Danielson,
him and Moxley.
A lot of good work from Roosh. So I'm with the LFI. The fucking tornado tag matches he was doing. He's fucking getting things out of Preston Vance. Like so yeah, man. I fucks with Roosh. So but yeah, and then the great MJF Kenny Omega match, and it was like, what more do you want? Like I thought that was excellent, and that was like a match that made me feel good about wrestling and what's going on in AEW, and
it's pulled the MJF like title reign out the shitter.
I wonder if there was like a conscious like acknowledgement, like we need to stamp this guy, we need to pull him out of like these weird directions that were happening. I wonder if that was a directive.
I definitely have a much more positive outlook now than I did 3 weeks ago.
Because part of me, I'm like, man, was it just that simple? They wanted to do it because he was passing the record or whatever. Was it just that?
Probably both.
Was this a business reason they were trying to do this? Like, how did they not see the value in this, the first time value of this at a different point? I don't know. These are still questions I don't like have answers for, and I don't know. Maybe I'll get answers for them in the future. But yeah, I have nothing else.
Yeah, same. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Oh, one more thing. Dan Coffin had asked, what do we think of the NBA in-season tournament that is happening?
I don't even know the dates. I don't know when it starts. I don't know what to make of it. As far as them doing it and where the cash prizes are for it, like, I'm cool with it. Will it be like the historical significance of it? Like, I think it'll take years to determine that. I just think that people are too Americanized to think that like these things won't matter and don't matter or whatever else. But it will eventually.
Stuff. So, basically, like it's like there's going to be 2 stages, group play and the knockout rounds. So all 30 teams have been randomly drawn into groups of 5 within their conference based on win-loss records from last season. Each team will play 4 designated group play games, 1 game against each opponent in its group, 2 games at home, 2 on the road on tournament nights, which will take place every Tuesday and Friday from November 3rd through 28th, with the exception of Election Day, when no games will be played. The only NBA games played on tournament nights will be group play games. So they're essentially taking over like the month of November with this. I'm glad they told us, because I would have like probably been like, how long is this thing lasting? Mm-hmm. Like if they're just making real, in November it's like tournament time, whatever, like preseason tournament. There's knockout rounds. 8 teams will then advance to the knockout rounds. the team with the best standing in the group play in each of the 6 groups and 2 wild cards. Team from each conference with the best record in group play that finished second in this group. The knockout rounds will consist of single elimination games in the quarterfinals played in NBA team markets on Monday, December 4th and Tuesday, December 5th, with the semifinals and championship played in Vegas, December 7th and 9th, respectively. The knockout teams will compete for a prize pool and the new in-season tournament trophy, the NBA Cup. I think I'll take it as serious as I feel like the players are taking it.
Right. Like if you give me playoff level basketball,
right,
I'm in. If you're going to treat it like a normal regular season game in, when it's a fucking winter and it's a road trip or whatever else, then it won't matter. Like
if they're gonna be resting dudes and be like, yeah, you're not gonna play, and there's everything. I'm like, all right, we don't care either.
Right. And I'm assuming this is the reason why this shit went hand in hand with like this year, and also like the don't sit fucking stars rule that the anti-load management thing that went into effect this year. I think they were like,
people already
trying to do this. Too. We sold this for some bread or whatever else. Don't fuck this up for us.
Yep.
Owners.
They said, players on each winning team, they get $500,000 each. That's a lot.
That is a lot, except for the star players, because that's what their game checks look like.
That's true. Players on the losing team get $200,000 each. Players on the semifinals, losers, they get $100,000. Players on the losing team of quarterfinals, $50,000 each. Then they're going to do an MVP of the tournament and the all tournament team. Selections will be paid based on
like what they did with the bubble.
Yeah.
Remember, it's all bubble team.
Yeah, selection will be based on the player's performance in both group play and knockout rounds. So, it could be interesting. They're doing all the courts, kind of differently.
I've seen them.
All the layouts and stuff. I don't know. It's a way to brand it. I don't have a problem with that.
Right. I don't have a problem. Look, I don't care what the court looks like. Look, some of these courts now.
I don't care about the game. I care how hard they play.
Yeah, like if you're gonna give me the intensity of a playoff game, I'm there. If you're not, it's gonna be real easy to spot in how that goes.
I have my guard up on this. Like you
have reason. You have reason to because of what the regular season has been for the last 7 years. Yeah, especially this early. Like if this were like set, obviously you can't do this because you have to get to like the actual important part of your season. Like if this were set like February, March-ish or whatever else, I'd be in because that's when the players actually tuned in to get ready for the playoffs and are gearing up.
Right. So yeah, hopefully that answers it. But I have nothing else.
Yeah.
Gonna ride off into the sunset.
All right, so that's the end of the show, y'all. Thanks for listening. If you're watching from the stream, when we put the podcast up, go to the show notes for the podcast and go to the red circle link to donate there. And be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, All Things Elite, and Imps WWE Adventure. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.